Hey, good morning, you guys. How are you all doing? We're getting used to doing online stuff again now. So, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we probably don't have much choice, but I would love to see you sitting out there and giving us a chance to interact and walk around and things like that. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the difference between the Arctic and the Antarctic. Right? The Arctic is in the North Pole, Antarctic is in the South Pole. And the first thing we'll do is show you a short video, and then we'll go ahead with our PowerPoint.
好，那我们今天要讲的主题是跟现在夏天完全截然不同的，是南极跟北极。那我们现在先看一段影片哦。
Two polar regions, the Arctic and the Antarctica. The name Arctic comes from the Greek Arctikos, which mean the north. The name Antarctic comes from the Greek Antarktikos, which mean opposite of the north. Arctic is a sea of ice surrounded by land. The ice you are standing on is 1 meter to 3 meters thick, floating on the Arctic Ocean. It is made of frozen seawater, with some snow on top. Sea level is usually no more than 1 meter below your feet. Antarctica, by contrast, is a land surrounded by water. It is an entire continent, located in the southern hemisphere. Antarctica is significantly colder than the Arctic. The main reason for this is that Antarctica is a high continent, covered by a very thin layer of ice, whereas the Arctic benefits from the tempering effects of the ocean. The Arctic and the Antarctica do not share the same seasons, because they are on the opposite sides of the world. When Arctic has 6 months of summer, Antarctica has 6 months of winter. When Arctic has 6 months of winter, Antarctica has 6 months summer. Polar bears only exist in the Arctic. There are walrus, Arctic fox, Arctic hares, reindeer, and other types of animals in the Arctic. These animals do not live in the Antarctic. Penguins are only seen in Antarctica. There are no penguins in the Arctic. There are various types of seals in Antarctica, like the leopard seal, the Weddell seal, crab-eater seal, and elephant seal. All of them do not exist outside of Antarctica. Approximately 1,700 species of plants live on the Arctic, including flowering plants, dwarf shrubs, herbs, grasses, mosses, and lichens. Some of them are Arctic willow, pasque flower, purple saxifrage, cotton grass, lichens, and mosses. The Antarctic has very little vegetation. There are only 2 flowering plants in Antarctica: Antarctic hair grass and Antarctic pearlwort. Mostly there are lichens, algae, and mosses. Numerous populations live in the Arctic. The Antarctica remained untouched by human presence until 1821. Today still, this continent does not have any permanent inhabitants. Only scientists visit now and then to the research station in Antarctica.
Don't forget to subscribe, like and share the video.
好，那我们的影片就是介绍一些动物的部分。那我们现在要来详细说南极跟北极的不同哦。 OK，我们开始喽。
Okay, so this is going to be a comparison between the Arctic and the Antarctic. So we call them polar regions because they are at opposite ends of the North and South Pole. And yeah, those are cold areas for sure.
好，那我们教南极跟北极呢，就是在第2行的这个字 polar regions 极区。
Okay, so you can take a look at this map right here. We have the Arctic and Antarctica. Arctic, of course, being in the north and Antarctic in the south. My question is, do you recognize any other places on the map?
好，大家看到这个世界地图，上面呢就是 Arctic 北极，下面呢就是南极。那大家记不记得其他的5大洲要怎么说呢？
Okay, let's talk about the Arctic first. It's at the very top of the Earth. It includes the areas around the North Pole. The Arctic isn't a country or a continent. It is actually mostly a frozen ocean. You can see the white portion there, and you can see the dotted red line showing the Arctic Circle. So this entire area is known as the Arctic Circle, but the Arctic also includes parts of lots of different countries like Norway, Finland, Sweden, Russia, the US, Canada, Denmark, and Iceland. So it also includes the Arctic Ocean. So all of these places in this area are known as the Arctic Circle.
好，那北极的话呢，它都是海洋哈。那么呢，它整个区域叫做北极圈 （Arctic Circle）。那它的周围就有它那个亚洲啊，还有美洲啊，整个北边，还有欧洲北边的整个国家都在它的周围。
Okay, now let's go to the opposite end of the Earth and see about Antarctica. You can see it there. It's also a land mass, but it is also a continent because it's covered in ice, or because it's a land mass. It includes the areas around the South Pole. Unlike the Arctic, Antarctica is actually a continent, and this is because it's an area of land. Remember, the Arctic is just frozen ice. Antarctica isn't officially owned by anyone, so it is not called a country. It has no government, no towns, no cities. It is looked after by a special agreement called the Antarctic Treaty. This means that the environment is protected, and Antarctica can only be used for peaceful purposes. More than 50 countries have agreed to the treaty, including Russia, China, the UK, and the US.
好，那我们现在看到这就叫做南极洲。南极洲呢，跟刚刚不一样，它是一个陆地，它是一个陆地。那么呢，它也没有国家，它也没有城市，但是它上面待会会介绍，有许多的科学研究员在上面。
Okay, next we're going to talk about the Arctic and especially the climate, right? So, sorry, wrong page. Hold on, you guys, just a second. Thank you. Okay, the Arctic has only 2 seasons, a long cold winter and a short cool summer. And you can see from some of the pictures there what it looks like. And the picture on the left actually is what we call the Aurora Borealis, and so I'll sometimes also call the Northern Lights, and it's something that's actually quite beautiful to see. I've never seen it in person, but yeah, I've seen pictures and it looks nice. In the winter, the sun is so far away from the Arctic that it doesn't rise at all. This means it can be cold and dark for months. The average temperature in the Arctic ranges from about 12 C in the summer to about minus 34 C in the winter. One thing I want to mention is places like Sweden that are very far to the north also have a dark winter. So a lot of places will have they'll build an indoor beach area and have bright lights to pretend like it's sunlight so people can go there, because if it's dark all the time, a lot of people end up getting depressed.
好，那我们现在看到的就是北极的气候。北极的气候呢，这边讲到只有2季节，只有2个，就是冬季还有夏季。那冬季呢是很长的，刚刚在影片中有看到6个月，对不对？好，那这个冬季的时候，就像现在看到这个景象，左上角这个比较特别，叫做极光。极光，好。那下面的问题是，你觉得呢？你呢看不见太阳好几个月是什么感受呢 ？What do you think it would be like if you didn't see the sun for a month?
Well, I know I would go crazy, so there you go.
好，那老师说，在比如像瑞典那边的国家，他们就会弄一个室内的，就是假的阳光这样子，然后让人们去，要不然呢，没有太阳晒呢，是很容易得到忧郁症的哦。
Okay, next we compare the climate in Antarctica, and as you saw in the video, Antarctica is much colder than the Arctic. So it's the coldest and windiest place on Earth. The lowest temperature ever recorded here was minus 89 C. Okay, it should be minus 89, so my mistake there.
负89度 C。
Yeah. The average temperature ranges from about 10 C in the summer to minus 60 C in the winter. Antarctica's winter also lasts for 8 months. 8 months. Because it is so cold, more than 98% of Antarctica is permanently covered in ice. The average thickness of the ice is about 1 mile. 1 mile is about 1.62 kilometers. Antarctica is also home to the driest place on Earth. There are places in Antarctica which haven't had rain or snow in more than 2 million years.
好，那我们现在看到的就是南极。那北极跟南极哪一个比较冷呢？答案是南极哦。好，这边有讲到，它可以达到零下的89度。那么呢，它的冰层呢可以厚达1英里，刚刚有讲到哈，可以厚达1英里。那它的冬季呢可以长达8个月。好，所以是南极比较冷哦。
Okay, let's talk a little bit about physical features. Physical features would be things like mountains and islands and so on like that. So there are a lot of physical features in the Arctic. We have mountains, fjords. Fjords is like in a lot of places where you might have a glacier, especially in Scandinavian countries. A glacier is a frozen river, but it does move very, very little. Although with global warming, they're moving a little faster now. Islands and plateaus. A plateau is a flat surface. Most of the Arctic, however, is covered by water, and most of that water is frozen. Some of these physical features help to make up 20% of the Earth's fresh water.
好，那我们现在看到就是北极它有什么样的地形哈？那它有山，然后有冰河，然后有岛屿，然后还有一些冰原、苔原的地方是平的。
Okay, now we have the physical features in Antarctica. Here you can see there are some valleys, also glaciers, and they have a lot of seas around there, ocean, and mountains and volcanoes. There are about 138 volcanoes in Antarctica. However, only 2 of them are still active. The most active is called Mount Erebus, and it has been active for about 1.3 million years.
好，那你现在有看到的是南极的地形哦，南极洲，那有山谷，有冰山，然后有火山，然后呢，海边都充满着冰的部分。好，最下面这2张图哈，然后还有山，最右边下面就是山，都是冰的样子哈。那么这个火山呢，有2座是活火山哦。
Okay, next we're going to talk about humans in the Arctic. People have lived in the Arctic for thousands of years. Only about 4 million people live and work there. And this is to compare, there are about 66 million people in the UK. In the winter, it can get so cold that it's too dangerous to go outside without special clothing and equipment. There are strong storms and blizzards, which can make traveling very difficult, and heating can be expensive for a home because there are no trees there, and if you want to have a fire, it can be expensive. Mining for oil and gas and fishing are important activities in the Arctic. So what do you guys think it would be like to live in the Arctic? Is this someplace you would want to live?
好，那老师刚刚问你的问题是你想不想要住在北极呢？那目前呢，大概有400万的人口住在北极，他们有一些是在那边工作的。好，那北极有人类居住的历史已经好几千年喽。
Okay, humans in Antarctica. We know already that no people live there permanently because it's too cold for them to live there for a long time. But scientists go there routinely to do experiments and things like that, study the ice and the animals. Tourists also sometimes visit in the summer. There are no towns or cities in Antarctica. So you see in the first picture there are some research stations for scientists to work in. And then we have in the middle picture an Antarctic cruise ship. And then in the last picture we can see some scientists getting ready to do some kind of experiment with the weather. So the question here is also the same as for the Arctic. What do you think it would be like to live there? Would you want to do that?
好，那现在又要问你喽，你想不想要住在南极呢？那刚刚有讲到南极比北极还要冷哦，所以那边是没有常住人口的，没有人是一直住在那边的，因为太过于冷。那大部分都是一些科学家在那边哈。那中间那张图呢是去那边游玩的游轮哈，那没有常住的人口在那边。
Okay, now we have some polar adaptations. Adaptation means that you get used to the environment that you're in, whether it's hot or cold, or you move to a new city or a new state or a new country. So a lot of even animals have to be able to adapt to living in the polar regions. So they all have special skills or features that they have developed which allow them to live in such cold temperatures. Many of these animals, such as seals and penguins, have a special layer of fat under their skin called blubber. This helps to insulate their bodies and keep the heat in. They may also have thicker layers of fur. You can see on the upper right picture there, this is a reindeer's thick coat of hair. Some of them have special adaptations on their feet, such as fur or sharp claws, to help them grip the slippery ice. They may also have wide or webbed feet, like you see in the bottom picture on the right there, to keep them from sinking in the snow.
好，那我们现在看到是为了南极跟北极这个寒冷的天气呢，动物就必须要有什么样的装备呢？首先右上角这个是很厚的毛皮然后右下角呢，这就是企鹅的脚部结构，它的脚呢要是这个样子才可以抵御寒冷哦。好，再来看到是北极的动物。
Okay, so the Arctic animals, we're just covering about 3 of them here. Remember, the Arctic covers a lot of areas of Europe, North America, and Asia. So first we have on the left there the Arctic fox. They have short ears and noses to limit how much of their body is going to be exposed to the cold temperatures. They live in burrows underground, so they dig out a hole and they live in there to keep themselves warm. Their fur will turn white in the winter, so they are camouflaged against the snow because they have other animals that are hunting them for something to eat. Next we have the polar bears. There's the ones in the middle. They have a thick coat and a layer of blubber to keep them insulated. They even have fur on their paws. This helps to protect them from cold surfaces and also lets them grip the ice. Lastly, we have walruses. They have long tusks. Those are the white things that are coming down from their mouth, look like elephant tusks also. They use that for pulling themselves out of the water and to break breathing holes in the ice when they are underwater. They also have a very thick layer of blubber.
好，那我们现在看到是北极的3种动物，最左边呢是北极的狐狸，中间呢是北极熊，右边是海象。好，接着再介绍几个北极的动物哦。
Okay, now we have the Arctic animals, and actually we're missing one, I guess, but that's okay. I will tell them about it anyway. We have something called the harp seal there on the left. They spend very little time on land, and most of their time is in the water. They can stay underwater for up to 15 minutes, and they eat mostly fish. And then we have the snowy owls. They have very good eyesight and hearing. This helps them to spot their prey in the snow. They have mostly white feathers, which help them to helps camouflage them in the snow. So maybe animals that they're hunting can't see them as well. Of course, you guys have all seen reindeer before. We don't have a picture here, but they have very thick coats also that keep them insulated. In fact, if a reindeer lies down, the snow underneath it won't even melt. Their hooves also have fur on the bottom to keep them from slipping. And lastly, we have lynx. They have special paws. As they walk, their toes will spread out, and this also will help them from sinking in deep snow. They also have very good eyesight, which makes them excellent predators.
好，那我们现在看到的动物有海豹，然后有雪鸮，雪鸮就是一种猫头鹰然后还有这个雪豹。那么呢，它们都有一些适应北极的脚部的结构。那刚刚还有提到一个动物，就是圣诞老人的什么东西？麋鹿、驯鹿，对不对？好，这个动物没有在图片上呈现，但是也是北极的动物哦。好，再来看南极的动物有什么？
Okay, next we have some Antarctic animals. There's a lot of different animals that live there. There's something called an emperor penguin. They are the biggest penguins in the world. They have a special flap of skin above their feet where they can keep their egg and then their chicks also will keep them warm and off the cold ground. Next you see an orca. Sometimes we call it a killer whale, but actually it's a member of the dolphin family. It's one of the fiercest predators in the sea, and they are super intelligent. They eat seals, sea lions, penguins, squid, sea turtles, whales, and even sharks, like great white sharks. They have a thick layer of blubber to protect them from the cold water. And perhaps you guys have seen some videos of them before where they actually almost come on shore and they snatch up penguins or seals that are right by the water's edge there. And then they're able to bring themselves back in the water. Very impressive. And then we have elephant seals. They are the largest of all seals, and they can dive over 5,000 meters below the water and stay underwater for more than 2 hours.
好，那我们现在看到南极的动物有最左边的，皇帝企鹅，然后中间的杀人鲸，然后还有右边的是世界上最大的海豹。
Now we have some more Antarctic animals. Albatross, this is a bird. It has the largest wingspan of any bird in the world. Wingspan is when their wings are straight out like this, and you measure from one tip to the other, and it's over 3 meters long. Okay? They can soar through the air for several hours at a time without ever needing to flap their wings. Next we have krill, which are very small shrimp-like creatures. They are able to shrink their bodies and go for long periods of time without eating, which help them to survive in the winter months. Then we have what's called a dusky dolphin. They are very social and playful. They have a curved dorsal fin. The dorsal fin is the one on the back, and it allows them to change direction quickly to swim away from predators. Then we have the leopard seal, which is a very large, aggressive type of seal. They have a thick layer of fat to keep them insulated, and they can stay underwater for up to 15 minutes.
好，那我们现在看到南极的小型的动物有，其实也没有多小哦。第一个信天翁，信天翁的翅膀张开来会达到3公尺哈，所以其实也是蛮大的哦。再来那个第二个呢叫磷虾，好，再来是海豚跟海豹。
Okay, now we've got some quick facts about the Arctic.
接下来是复习哦。
This is just stuff that you can kind of file away in your brain, and if somebody asks you one day about the Arctic, you can go, hey, I know something about it. So here we go. There's about 10 cities in the Arctic, and traveling around the Arctic Ocean means that you need to rely on icebreakers. They're big, powerful ships that can break up miles or kilometers of sea ice, sometimes meters thick. If you don't have an icebreaker to break up the ice, then maybe your ship will become stuck, and then you're going to be in having a big, big problem. The Arctic Ocean is the smallest ocean in the world, and the Arctic ice sits on water and not on land. Now, we didn't really know that until about 1958 when a submarine called the USS Nautilus sailed under the frozen ice of the Arctic Ocean. This is proof that the Arctic ice sits on water and not on land. And lastly, you see on the lower right there, the gray whales that travel about 20,000 kilometers every year from the Arctic to Mexico during the winter.
We got 3 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
You want to finish this part?
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Or
Do we have a video too? Or do you want to?
or you just ask them some questions?
Yeah, we can do that.
to
Okay.
end it.
All right. All right,
好，
so
那我们的时间差不多了，那老师要问你们最后一个问题哦。
okay, now which has frozen ice and no land? Would that be Antarctica or would that be the Arctic?
好，老师刚问的是哪一个是 frozen ice， 是冰的世界，是北极还是南极呢？
Okay, next one is, where can we find penguins? Do we find them at the North Pole or the South Pole?
好，那我们哪里可以找得到企鹅呢？好，那我们今天的活动就到这边，希望大家可以学习到很多关于北极跟南极的知识哦。
Okay, now a question about Antarctica. Which country does Antarctica belong to?
好，南极有没有国家呢？这是最后一个小问题。Okay,
So it doesn't belong to any country, right? That's just a treaty of about 50 countries that have signed this, and they just go there to do scientific experiments.
so you need to say goodbye.
Okay, hey you guys, I hope you learned something about it, and it wasn't too cold for you, just a lot of cold facts, okay? And yeah, hopefully you'll be able to have a chance to travel to one of those places one of these days, okay? So see you next time.
See
Bye-bye.
you.